So thank you very much, everybody, for coming here again. My name is Linda Doering, and we're doing the Love Smarts program from the Institute for Relationship Intelligence. And last time we were here, we talked about the importance for everybody to realize before you hit send, don't assume that what you send is going to be private. Doesn't matter if it's on your cell phone or on your computer. Anything you send will never really die. You can smash your computer once it's out in the internet world, that's it. There's legal consequences too. Like I mentioned before, there's something about Glen Rock High School in New Jersey. An eighth grade boy, he kept hounding his girlfriend, who's 14 years old, send me pics, send me pics. So she sent him a picture of her in her underwear and no bra and figured it was just for him. Well, as soon as he got it, he hit send to 13 of his best friends. And one of the boys who opened it went hysterical and he brought it to his father immediately. It was before school started even, you know. He said, "Dad, I didn't ask for this. I don't know why he did this." And he was just traumatized. And the father took it to the police because it was an underage girl. So people don't realize, they think that it's okay. I'm 14, she's 14. She's under the legal age. In New Jersey, for some reason, it's 16. And then there's something about a 2 years difference. I've read the law like 15 times. I still don't understand it. So how the kids understand it, I don't know. But in New Jersey, I believe their law is more protecting pedophiles. It's not really protecting children. So don't give in to peer pressure. And I don't know now if there's as much, but when cell phones first came out, there was a lot of pressure, people to, send stupid pictures and things like this. So, a lot of times people think, oh, porn, it's harmless, you can't get any diseases, there's no pregnancy, just you and Pamelita, Juanita, whatever you want to call it, And people masturbate and they look at porn and they don't realize they're sexually conditioning their brain. So when it comes to sex, they're thinking about with their sex organs rather than their mind. And it's like, I tease the boys, this is whatever direction it's pointing, that's where you want to go. And also, I point out to the guys, especially from 7th grade on up, the boys don't have a lot of control with not just their mind and behavior, but actually with their penis. It can have an erection just because he's thinking about lunch, or the bell rings, or he thinks about playing ball after school. And I'll have the boys jump up and say, "Thank you, Miss Linda, thank you for bringing this up," because people will point and laugh at them like, "Why are you horny?" or something like this. And they're not. It just has a mind of its own because of all the, puberty drugs, going on in their brain and everything. So sometimes it's just good. And if you don't feel comfortable, addressing that, that's okay too. But have it in your back pocket, because when I get asked questions, and even one time I was surrounded by little boys and they were asking me about penis size and all of this stuff, and I always say, it's not the size of your penis, it's the size of your heart. That's what really matters. And it's just so interesting. We always worry about the girls. The boys are really traumatized. One thing is they're traumatized by the girls because the girls are growing up faster and they're like really messing around with the boys where they shouldn't, too much huggy kissy and stuff like this, which the girls, they're fine with it, but the boys, it's hard for them. So they, especially the boys, they just love the blunt talk, they just love the straight talk. They're not real good at ciphering everything out. They work with one side of the brain. So is pornography really harmless? Some people even say porn is empowering for women. You can get a big career. And this can be very seductive for a lot of girls, especially if they have a unfortunate family life or something. It's very sad. They get seduced even into, child sex trafficking and things like this. This one guy said in Dr. Panzer's class, he says, who needs a hassle of dating when I have online pornography. I don't have to get dressed. I don't have to shave. I don't have to have a nice car. It's just me and the screen. But what they don't understand is the issue of sexual conditioning. They think they're just looking at porn. It's a harmless activity. I'm just masturbating, looking at porn. It's not a big deal, but it's a huge deal, because especially when teenagers look at this while they're growing up, they're still developing their brain. So whatever behaviors and attitudes they have as young people get ingrained in their brain. I think we talk about that in this section too, gets ingrained, and to where they can constantly, just like a drug, pot, heroin, marijuana, it becomes as addictive, I would say, as crack cocaine. It's a huge deal. Even some girls, they think, oh, I can. When I was working in the Soviet Union for 3 years, and I think it was like 40%, 30 or 40% of 17-year-old girls felt prostitution would be a good career choice for them. They really believed, oh, we're going to be in the mafia, and sex for money, I'll be rich. And I used to run into these, all the girls are beautiful over there. They don't hardly wear any makeup. And I heard all these things, au pair, which is a glorified babysitter, right? And so many of them were getting job offers in Europe and America to become au pairs, babysitters for these wealthy people. Well, most of these girls spoke no English. And it turns out that was a ploy to get them into the sex slavery. So they would go on the airplane, and then on the airplane, their handlers would take their passports away from them. Once they passed through customs, they said, we'll take care of it so it doesn't get lost. And then they were sold off, and they had to, work the way out, which I don't think any of them ever did. So, and again, we talk about equality. Are girls just sex objects? Unfortunately, it happens to our little boys too. I remember on the Oprah show, this was years ago, when I first became aware of the addictive nature of porn. And there was a couple on there, it looked just like this couple here. And they were in the early 20s, they were married, and the wife had found out that her husband was addicted to porn. She noticed, after they make love, she would, as she's starting to fall asleep, she noticed he would roll out of bed and go into the office that they have there in their house. And then so one time after making love, she closed her eyes, and after he went to the office, she snuck out of bed and peeked in the door, and there was her young husband looking at porn and masturbating, and they had just had sex. She was disgusted, but she didn't say anything. The next day when he went to work, she looked in the computer, and there was thousands of downloaded porn images. And again, this was in the early 2000s, when a lot of research on porn was not so well known. Well, when he came home from work, she had his bags packed, and he said, you're out of here. This is disgusting. I want a divorce. Look at what you're doing. He says, but I'm not with anybody. It's just me and my hands and this and that. And he was bewildered, but he was ashamed at the same time. He was hiding it from her. And so somehow a friend of theirs told him about therapy, and they were going to some sessions. So now the husband is speaking. This is on the Oprah show, right? And he's alone in the house, and they've been going to group sessions for a couple of weeks. And he says, oh, it's been 2 weeks. I haven't looked at any. I don't know why she's talking about it. She's overreacting. I'm not addicted, but it's boring. It's raining. She's not going to be home for a few hours. I'm just going to take a few peeks to see what's there. He said, I thought I was on those porn sites for 5 minutes. When I looked at my watch, it had been 4 hours. Then he knew that he had a problem. So these kind of stories are very common. They're not unusual. And this Dr. Douglas Weiss was on that show, and I sent the information to Richard. And he was amazing. He just speaks matter-of-factly, no accusation, no putting people down, because it's just like when somebody tries a drug, oh, now you're addicted. You didn't know, right? So he said, constant viewing of anything or anybody during a sexual experience creates a sexual desire for that object or person. Sadly, many men have badly trained their brain hundreds, if not thousands of times by being sexual with themselves before their first real sexual encounter, with a human being. So he says, when the man ejaculates, whatever he looks at when he orgasms, he gets sexually glued to that. So that's why even some people have different fantasies or things that they're kind of attached to. It usually started when they were very young. So, we call it a sex glue. I'm going to read this part too, but this Dr. Douglas Wise, he has a sex clinic. He's a therapist, and he helps primarily men, but a lot of times men don't want to get the help. They go, I don't have a problem, you got a problem. And so instead, he'll actually give therapy to the wife and the family because the husband's actually just creeping him out. And usually one thing leads to another. If you're looking at porn, it's an insatiable desire. And of course, your partner becomes no longer desirable because they don't want to act out all these things. And even if they do, it's not that exciting. It's just what's ever in their brain is exciting. So he said, many people view pornography as a harmless pastime that could even be beneficial because somebody's experiencing sexual fulfillment just with oneself, and there's presumably no danger of unwanted pregnancy or becoming infected with an STD. This, however, ignores the reality of sexual conditioning. Sometimes I'll tease the boys, you're sexually conditioning yourself to think with this instead of this. And the boys know exactly what I'm saying. They don't go, oh, Miss Linda. They go. So Dr. Douglas Wise, he counsels men who have problems with sexual intimacy with their wives, explains that during sex, chemicals called endorphins and enkephalines rush to the excitement center of a man's brain. The preoptic neuron is the section of the brain where excitement and risk are experiencing. Men who take risks such as skydiving, bungee jumping, and deep sea diving utilize the same part of the brain that sex does. However, sex by far produces the greatest chemical release, making his brain and body feel their absolute best. Critical to a man's sexual success is understanding that whatever he looks at while having ejaculation is what he will sexually connect to or glue to. Whatever his eyes focus on when he sexually releases a person, image, or object will become etched in his brain as a photographic attachment, just like with your computer, towards that person or object. So if you haven't had sex till marriage, when you get married, the young man, when he's going to orgasm, he's looking at the face of his beloved. Whenever he gets sexually aroused, he's going to think of that person. He's not going to be thinking of porn sites or different things like this. So it's a drug that's being put in his brain, a natural drug that's meant to bind them together. Females are different. Like during sex, men's eyes tend to be open. Women tend to have their eyes closed. They're feeling emotion and tenderness and all this stuff, usually, not always. And so it's very different. Like women get the cuddle hormone. They want to cuddle afterwards. It's not unusual for a man to fall asleep. They shouldn't be upset about that. It just means he's just very pleased. His whole body feels better. It's such a, so many men are filled with so much anxiety with duties and work and so many things. So it really helps them. But just to have sex, just to get that release, that's a problem, because then you wonder why your partner's not so receptive, because it's easy for somebody to feel used. So anyway, I think all of you received this printout in an email. And if you didn't, just email myself or Bergie and we could send it to you. But the whole script is there. And in the beginning, when I first did this, because this is a lot of words, I basically, because I know it, I just kind of shorten it and go over it. But if I feel it's a certain setting where all of this, I just take the paper out and I read it just like I did to you. And it's really helpful, because you just say there's a lot of medical data here. And this is what this Dr. Weiss, there's so few people that really, there's a lot of clinicians who try to encourage the spouse to play act with the other person, but the person's still addicted to porn. And that's why they get dissatisfied with the act of sex with somebody that they're married to, because they need that constant, just like with pornography. When people watch porn, they have to constantly be switching it up, more dangerous, more partners, more risky sex. They can't just keep looking at the same pictures or movies. It's like a drug. You need to get more and stronger just to get off with what you did with less, so it's a huge issue with marriages and young people while their brains are still forming. That's why with cell phones and all of this, the porn industry, the drug industry, everybody is after our children because they'll have lifetime customers. What was it? The Board of Ed where I work was getting a bill for $400 a month for porn sites. And they go, why are we getting a bill for porn sites? Turned out the night watchman who was supposed to be watching the building was watching porn on one of the monitors and billing the school for it. If you don't think that's dumb enough, $400 a month. Like, you can't even wait till you get home. So porn use and impotence, a lot of people are worried about sexual performance. And look how young he is. If your blood circulation is not doing so good, we'll work on that, because they're always worried about losing their erection and things like this, or that they can't get one anymore. But we're having young men who can't even have sex with their own spouse. They have to be watching porn just to get an erection and to maintain an erection. How would they feel if their spouse had to look at porn just to have sex with them? It totally takes away that intimacy that we were supposed to all share. And if they are addicted to pornography and masturbation when they're young, it's not like you snap your fingers and now I'm married, I'm good, And I used to run into young guys all the time. They say, yeah, I do this all the time, Miss Linda, but once I get married, I'll be okay. No, you're not. You're going to still be doing that. You're going to be dissatisfied because your spouse doesn't look like those porn magazines. Nobody can please you like you please yourself. So this this person was saying it starts with lower reactions to porn sites. There's a general drop in the libido, that's your sex drive. And in the end, it becomes impossible to get an erection through, just normal sex. 7 out of 10, that's 70% of young men seeking clinical professional help. And those are the ones that seek the help. How many are not even seeking? But 7 out of the 10 who do seek help for sexual performance problems admit to using internet pornography habitually. That doesn't mean like one time a week, twice a week. It probably means like 5 times a day. They're either using porn, thinking about porn, or doing something else with porn. Actor Terry Crews. I'm not going to take the time to play the video. You get it with the program, but he is so brave. I mean, well-built guy, athletic, hysterical comedian, really popular, has his own sitcom. And he was heavily addicted to pornography. Luckily, his wife didn't leave him. And now part of his therapy is he has to confess this is what he did. So he's sitting in his car, I'm sure a very expensive car, and he's revealing to the world, this is what, and he just becomes a normal person, like, this is what I was doing. And that's the shame in admitting that this what had such a grip on him is healing. Because you're not, part of the disease is having a secret life, always hiding, and this, it's almost like if you had an affair with somebody, it's worse. It's even worse than that. And usually this does lead to affairs. You're looking at porn, you're getting into this stuff, and now you're dissatisfied with your marriage. So instead of working on the marriage, you go outside of the marriage. Females get addicted to porn too, but usually their porn is more eroticism. It's more about storylines and the romance and the, getting up to the act of sex, whereas the male version is usually just straight to the point. So it's like this.
We can't hear the audio there, Aunt Linda.
So you can see the quality of his talk is really nice, you know. And I like that he does it in his car because it gives kind of a, you know, more personal touch and like, look, I need to share this just one-on-one with you, you know. So he did this on his Facebook, and I think he just did it like 2 years ago or something, but I really admire and respect him for doing this. So we really want to help young people and college students and adults too to value themselves, because if you don't value yourself, how can you expect anybody else to? Like, the internet was explosive, like this one where it says, I hate you, especially girls, you know, they were going nuts. And I had these little seventh graders say, Miss Linda, I have 1,000 friends, but I don't have one friend, you know, meaning Facebook and stuff like this. So just a second. Oh, just a second. Hang on. Let me see if I can backtrack this. Hang on. My boss did something really wonderful for us. He, hang on a second. So it used to be very difficult to do this show because I had to close out of this program. Then I had to go to my desktop on my computer and hit the video. So now this is brand new. I hadn't done this before. He hits this screen, I'm telling you, future presenters. So I just, with my arrow, I can hit this and you'll see this. This is our anti-bullying component. And this young man, when he was 10 years old, he was bullied so severely. And for being short, I'm thinking when somebody's 10, everybody's short, you know? But it was devastating for him, and he just couldn't take it. He tried to drown himself in his mother's bathtub, and it didn't work. And so he thought, wow, if I'm feeling this way and I have a wonderful family who loves me, how do other kids feel? So later when he was in high school, he developed a program, Are You Going to Finish Strong? And now he's a worldwide public speaker. He speaks all over the world. And so this is kind of an example of what he does. Can you hear this? Can you hear?
No.
Oh, I'm going to have to talk to Richard. Okay, just a second. I'm going to read the captions. I'm going to read the captions, okay? Awesome. I want to talk about life, like when I started to go to school and stuff. And a lot of people put me down, you know what I mean? A lot of people tease each other. I mean, people come up and say, hey, you're fat, 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 you know, lose some weight. You go home and you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, I'm fat, right? And so many people put me down and they said, Nick, you were too weird. Nobody's really your friend. You can't do this and you can't do that. And I couldn't really change anything. It's not like I was fixing my hair one day and everything was fine. It's not like, you know, just whatever. I couldn't change my circumstances. I couldn't just one day wake up and say, hey, give me arms and legs. I need arms and legs. You know what I mean? Like, if you went to a bodybuilder and say, can you make me some arms and legs? No, I'm just joking. Bodybuilder, you get it? I go up to people, can you give me a hand? No, I'm just joking. But it was hard because people put me down. And I started believing that I was not good enough, that I started believing that I was a failure, that I would never be somebody who people would like, that people would accept. He was born this way, by the way. And it was so hard, man. Like, I thought to myself, you know, I can't go on the soccer field like everybody else. I can't ride my bike and I can't skateboard and all these sort of things. I started getting depressed. I thought, what kind of purpose do I have to live? I mean, are you here just to live to die? I mean, is there not a purpose for me? Is there not a purpose in life? And I had questions and no answers. And I asked my mom and dad, why did this happen? I asked doctors, why did this happen? They don't know. Some things in life that are just out of your control that you just can't change. And you got to live with it. So the choice that we have, though, is either give up or keep on going. I want to ask you, what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe in yourself? Or are you going to believe whatever else judgment on you? Are you going to believe people when they say you're a failure? There's no one really likes you. Nobody really cares about you. It's not really like to say you need somebody to come up and say, hey, I really like you. I really care about you. It's not about that, but it's the fact that people put you down. And people don't even look you in the eye. People ask you how you are and you say fine, but you're not really fine, and they'll never know that. Honestly, along the way, you might fall down like this, all right? Boom. Hello there. What do you do when you fall down? Get back up. Everybody knows to get back up, but if I start walking, I'm not going to get anywhere. But I tell you, there's sometimes in life when you fall down and you feel like you don't have the strength to get back up. But this is the thing. It should be impossible for me to get back up, but it's not. If I try 100 times to get up, and if I fail 100 times, if I fail and I give up, do you think I'm ever going to get up? No. But if I fail and I try again and again and again, for as long as I keep trying, there's always that chance of me getting up. Does that make sense? And it's not the end until you've given up. And just the fact that you're here should persuade you that you have another chance to get back up. There's still hope. It matters how you're going to finish. Are you going to finish strong? And you will find that strength to get back up like this. They're playing music in the background that's like really soft and dramatic. It's really nice. He had to teach himself this. His mother could not teach him how to get up. He had to teach himself to get up off the floor. He couldn't just have her pick him up all the time. So now the kids are applauding. And you'll see students are crying. He's laughing, having a good time. They're crying. The teachers are crying. Everybody's a hot mess. At the end, he always hugs everybody because he can't shake hands. The teachers get a hug. The kids get a hug. And I asked the students, why do you think so many of the kids are crying? And some will think, oh, because they're sad for him. I says, I don't think they're sad for him. I really think many were thinking, I hate myself. I hate my life. I'm going to kill myself after school. But I saw Nick today. I have arms. I have legs. What am I complaining about? I know Nick had he has a whole website about his backstory and everything else, but he had a big secret that he never talked to anybody about. He would see the boys carrying the books for their girlfriends and holding hands and, going out. He says, oh man, I want a girlfriend. I want to get married someday. I want kids, but who would want this? So he just kept up with his work and school and giving speeches. And then this girl that he knew, Terry, invited one of her favorite girlfriends, beautiful, gorgeous girl. I thought my girls were pretty. She is beautiful. Invited her, and she was so touched. So when at the end of the talk, when they're coming up to get a hug, he started talking to her just a little bit. And then he says, I'd really like to carry on this conversation another time. Can I give you my email address? She goes, oh, no, I'll get it from Terry. He says, no, really, please, I don't mind. She said, no, it's okay. I'll get it from Terry. And his father had taught him not to beg. So he said, 2 weeks later, she emails him. Then they started calling and speaking to each other. They started going out, seeing each other. They both fell madly, passionately in love. The first time I saw Nick, he can't sit. He stands and he's on the couch next to his wife. She's holding, he doesn't call his foot a foot because it's not, he calls it a chicken cutlet. She's right next to him on the couch holding his foot like it was his hand. I thought, that is just like so romantic. And so it was really married. They got married, and I always tell the kids somehow they figured it out because now they have 2 children.
Oh.
And it's really amazing, and just his life story and the things he's done, it's amazing. So if you ever get a chance to look at some of the past videos and hearing the testimony, it's amazing. Keep track of the time for me. Bergie, so it's nice he embedded it. So you just tap the screen, it comes up. So now we do the dollar bill thing. So I usually, in a classroom, I ask a few students, I need volunteers. Who's ever been bullied? Who's ever been made fun of? Or because they don't relate to the word bully. I don't know why. Who's been had their feelings hurt when people made fun of them or whatever? Then I get a few people. And then some people I knew because of things they talked about. I says, get up here, you know? And then and then they've all been bullied, and I give each one a dollar bill. They try to stick it in their pocket and stuff. I always carry like $51 bills with me. And I says, you know, look at this dollar bill. Is this a real dollar bill? They smell it and everything. They go, yeah. And I says, does it have a dollar's worth of value? 10 dimes, 4 quarters, 100 pennies. They go, yeah. Can you go and buy a dollar ice cream after school with this? They go, yeah. And I says, now, so it has a dollar, has a dollar's worth of value. And I want you to take your dollar and I want you to, prepared. So take your dollar and I want you to smash it up like this. Don't worry, dollars have no feelings, because you know when people have been bullied, they're so afraid of hurting something else. And then I says, now I want you to put this on the ground in front of your sneakers. When I say go, I want you to stomp on the dollar. You can curse, but don't use the really bad ones. Call it every bad name you ever heard anybody call. And so then they'll jump and go, you're fat, you faggot, you know, you loser. And the boys really get into it, right? And then some are afraid to hurt the dollar. I says, so now pick up your dollar. Oh, pobrecito, that's Spanish for, oh, you poor baby. You know, your dollar bill's been through a lot. You know, it's been spat upon, it's been stomped on, it's been ridiculed, public humiliation. It's been through a lot, but will this dollar still buy you an ice cream? Is it still have its original value, 4 quarters, 10 dimes, and 100 pennies? So what does this tell you about your original value? And then I go to each one. If I have a microphone, I put it in front of their face and they'll say, nobody can change my value. I'm still the same person. I met this boy. He was one of these guys who, he had a lot of behavioral problems, one of the really big boys in the 8th grade, right? Should have been a sophomore in high school. And he came into he just walks into one of the classes, you know, they can't control him. He walks into one of my classes and he taps his front pocket, and it sounded like it was a wad of rolled up garbage paper. He says, Miss Linda, you know what that is? I says, no, what is it? And he didn't know I was going to be speaking that day. He says, that's my dollar bill you gave me 2 years ago. He says, I keep it in my pocket every day. Whenever I have a bad day, I tap my dollar bill and I know it's going to be a good day. I had a little boy from India. He said, Miss Linda, I taped it right by my bed. So it's the first thing I look at in the morning. I put it in our donation jar, you know, like, it's just amazing the things that, you know, it really, such a simple activity. And I always let them keep the dollar. I know Richard always does it like with a $10 bill. I like the kids to keep the dollar. I use my own money, you know, just let them keep the dollar. And it's a life-changing type of thing that they go through. It's really amazing. So all that's written up in the workbook. So what are coping skills? What does the word cope mean? It usually means how you deal with something. It's one of those English words that are really hard to, you know, it's more like an emotion. When life happens, how do you deal with it so it doesn't stop you from proceeding? So I said, when you're feeling bad, what do you do? And I get examples from the kids, you know, usually they already know how to regulate themselves. I listen to music, I take a nap, and I always emphasize taking a nap is a wonderful thing. Even on Wall Street, they tell people take a 20-minute nap so you can deal with what's happening. So they'll say whether it's good or bad, I'll say things. And so those were really great. Take a walk or run in nature, listen to music, you know, not hardcore, not hardcore, you know, something that's good, that makes you feel happy, you know. Help another person. When you do volunteer work, you help somebody, natural endorphins make you high. It makes you feel happy. That's how we're supposed to be. Talk to somebody you can trust. Don't put all your business out on, you know, Snapchat and TikTok and stuff. You know, like even now, I don't say the word Facebook because now it's obsolete. Once everybody's grandparents got on it, you know, it's not so cool anymore. But talk to somebody you can trust. Ideally, guidance counselors. Always try to reel kids into using the school services, you know, guidance counselor, nurse, things like this. So it's really helpful. And then also, what are my triggers? This is new. Like, do all of you know what triggers are? Triggers are whatever, yes, thank you, Gideon. they're whatever happens that this gets me, you know, or when people say this all the time, it's just like, oh man, I had this black girl, really bothered her. People always wanted to touch her hair, and they were really complimenting her and trying to, you know, be with her. And she's like, I don't want people touching my hair, you know. So it's things. So what are my triggers? Well, what do you do when somebody makes you angry? You know, what are healthy outlets for that? So it's anxiety is a big deal. So it's anger, anxiety, things like this, because life happens. Life happens. So these are kind of the ending slides. And so we're talking about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So many people are consumed with their past joys, past mistakes. I tell you, as growing up, I would play over and over any stupid thing I ever did or said. I just could not let it go. What I learned to do, because I was so always accusing myself, as soon as that spirit comes to me, you're no good, you're ugly, whatever, I just make a very loud sound or I sing a song. And I have a terrible singing voice. It's true. I can't even sing happy birthday. But and because I did that for so often, now I only have happy thoughts. It is so rare, if even one time a year, some stupid thought comes up like that. So a lot of people are constantly dwelling with yesterday. That's why it looks so gray. Sometimes they're unable to see the joys and the needs of people right now, right in front of them. They drown their sorrow in alcohol, drugs, uncommitted sex, porn, and addictions. Do you think that's a healthy way to live? So it's like they want to mask it, medicate it, you know, like just like even somebody say, no, you don't understand, Miss Linda, when I smoke a joint, I feel calm, I feel good. I says, yes, because you're addicted, and that's kind of appeasing your addiction. And when you're not high, then you start feeling all nervous again. They go, oh, how'd you know? So now with today, you know, you can see they're all wiped out from the day before, I guess. Living in the present is better than being a prisoner of the past. And it's a good way to keep your eyes open to the possibilities to be embraced and enjoyed. But a lot of people who focus on today, they pay very little attention to how their actions impact their future. That today is the rest of your life. And they fail to plan and act to fulfill dreams that might take more time to accomplish. You know, so like they did binge drinking all night, and then the whole next day that they're wiped out. So it's good to think about today, but in terms of how is today preparing for tomorrow, it does something to your brain chemistry to be looking for the future. And then, so for anybody who wants to achieve something important in the future, realizing that some sacrifice is necessary to accomplish these things, these future goals. So they're able and willing to invest in tomorrow while others are spending most of the time just trying to enjoy today. And that is a big problem right now. People just want to enjoy today. Oh, give me some of that, you know, unemployment check. I don't want to look for a job, you know, and they wonder why they're so unhappy. And let them try to get a job after they haven't done anything for 2 years. They'll say, you know, where were you? So how many of you want to be losers? How many of you want to be successful in life and love? Everybody's hands go up. So these are 11 proven ways. So usually I'll read the first one, because even I have, with older kids, I'll have some that don't speak English as their first language. So I'll go, don't use drugs or abuse alcohol. They alter or change your ability to make good decisions and lead to depression. With this one, I usually will ask a student to read it. It's not something we do together. So I'll ask a student each time. And if there's a word like alter, after they're done, I'll say, you know, alter your ability. What does that mean? And if they don't have the answer, I say change or something. Don't put yourself in a position to be pressured to have sex. Hang out in groups. Tell your boyfriend or girlfriend your limits and goals. Be honest. Honor each other's limits and goals. If you're afraid to tell somebody that you like, that you're not going to do drugs, you're not going to have sex, what does that tell you about the relationship? You know, it's not very honest. Choose friends who have positive values and goals. And, you know, I couldn't do that in high school, so I became a loner. And I'm going to tell you, I turned out a lot better than all the popular kids in my school put together. I guarantee you, because I saw them later. So why always be struggling? They want to lie and sneak around. They want to smoke some pot, do things like this. So I have many examples from my own children that I throw in here, like my daughter, nobody showed up for her sweet 16 party. And the girl said, you look, you don't drink, you don't do drugs, and you're not having sex. What are you waiting for? You're 16 years old. And so then my daughter, when she graduated from high school, all of her friends were crying and holding on to her. And I says, oh, are they going to another state for college or something? They're going to miss you. She says, no, mommy. They're all saying we would give anything to undo what we've done. And they made little abstinence pledges that we usually hand out in the schools. And they were all taped to my daughter's computer because they made her their mentor. Even when she turned 21, she would order wine. She loved to do Latino dancing, right? But she would dance with her wine because the club owner said, don't ever leave your drink on the table. And she would order wine, not to drink, but that way men would not be trying to buy her drinks and stuff. She just really wanted to dance and have a nice time. So, and she used to be the designated driver. And she says, no, forget it. You guys all stink up my car. I'm driving myself. And I go, oh, good girl. So then, know that you can say no to risky self-destructive behavior. Know that many other teens are saying no. Ask your peers. If your peers ask you, why are you waiting? You can say to them, why are you not waiting? If they say, what's wrong with you? You can say, nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with you? Discuss with your boyfriend or girlfriend the consequences before you act. Stop and think, is it worth the risk? Ask yourself, do you want to live in the short term or the long term? Will you be with this person forever? Will you be proud to tell your future spouse about any sexual acts you engage in now? A lot of this becomes public material. Think, how could your future goals be influenced by your decisions today? Hard to resist or deal with self-destructive behaviors? What can you do? You can get help. You're lucky. You have guidance counselors. They give you free help here. And a lot of their rules and laws and policies, they're not, unless you're trying to kill yourself or something like this, they do keep it confidential, and you could ask them. It's never too late to start practicing healthy relationships and avoiding high-risk behavior. Never too late. I turned my life around when I was 25, and I thought I would never change. I did. So now these are affirmations. I'm going to read these, and then you read afterwards, so you guys don't have to do this, but 8 affirmations for a successful, excellent life. How many want to have an excellent, successful life? So number 1, I will live my life with a sense of purpose. Okay. And then if they say it in a real soft voice, I says, I can't hear you. Number 2, I will resist negative pressures that could damage my future goals. I will take care of myself, my health, and my well-being. I will control my use of media instead of letting it control me. Number 5, I will exercise self-control and build my character. I will from this day forward save all sexual activity for the person I will, as an adult, spend the rest of my life with. I will make wise decisions to protect my future. And number 8, I'm going to let go of the past and live for my future. I'll say, give yourself a great big hand. They feel so empowered. So this is a poem that I found. And see if you can recognize the author. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the one who will decide where you go. Who do you think wrote this? Dr. Seuss. They all know right away. So yeah, they love this. And oftentimes I photocopy the poem you can get on the internet, blow it up. I go to the dollar store, get a dollar frame, and I sign it and date it, and I give it to the teacher. They hang it in their classroom. They love it. And it's just a little reminder, during their year. So this gives all the contact information, an email address, and our 2 websites that we're currently using. And this is our 20th edition, 2021. So usually I'll give a final talk like a wrap up and asking, do you have any questions on the contents of the material while this slide is up, or the poem? They don't have to see this actually. And at the end of each presentation, I always watch my time. And I leave like 5 minutes, are there any questions people would like? And if there's not, then I speak another 5 minutes. And when I open up, I ask, the next time I see them, does anybody have any questions about, what we talked about last time? What did we talk about last time? I'll ask them things like that, and it's kind of amazing. And plus, they have another chance to talk about things when what do you say? Talk about things. Oh, at the end when they do their final exercise analysis. Oh, another poem. I'm trying to see where I have this. It's 2, 3. And when they do their evaluations, we ask them, what did you like and what did you not like? And we leave it, their evaluations, oh, okay. Their evaluations are all, what do you say, anonymous. The form that we have, I never have them put their name on it because I really want honest give and take with them. And I always do their evaluations of the program. Like if I'm going to see them 8 times, on the 7th time I have them do an evaluation. I give them the paper and I just say, sometime during the class, be sure you fill this out. I let them fill it out while I'm speaking that period. Then I gather them and then I read them. And if there's something that somebody misunderstood, I can tell by the way they filled out their paper, I can address it. Because what happens, sometimes they'd say something smart alecky, which is pretty rare, or they'd say something they really misunderstood a word I used or something. And there was no way I could get back to them. So this way, then the last time, before I start, I go through the evaluations that either was wonderful or it had a problem or it didn't understand something. And because one thought I was attacking gay people and all this. I hope you heard I use some gender neutral language. I don't have any problems with that because, people are questioning, they're at different stages. And I just feel if people make healthy choices now, they're more likely to make healthy choices in the future. What's sad is when there's all this pressure for young people to fit in a particular box to be cool, they don't even know who they are as a person yet. I mean, think back when you were in middle school and high school, you didn't know who you were as a person, so we need to get past those things that box us. This gives young people the freedom to be free. They don't have to have all that, big anchor around their neck from regrets that they had. So do you have any questions about anything, or can unmute your mic? Was this kind of understandable? I kind of go through it fast. Originally, when I was looking at the plan, I'm just supposed to briefly go through it. I prefer kind of doing it the way that I do in the classroom and then with some side notes, because I feel like, why should you have to reinvent the wheel? You can all do it. You should all do it your own way, what you feel comfortable with. But just there's some things that I faced so often, it's become so common. It's good for you to feel confident in answers. Is there anything that needs clarification, or raise your hand if you felt that this was a valuable experience today? Free will, but no choice. Yeah. So you can see, like, we don't have to have all the answers. I was not an angel growing up. That's why I know a lot of this stuff that people face. And now it's ever changing. I'm always talking to young people what's going on. And it's just, that's why even you just stick with the basics. Everybody's facing this. I've given parts of this to 3rd and 4th graders. I don't like to, like, the anti-bullying, something like this. And I've gone up to doing senior citizen groups where the average age was 80, and they were Latinos. So it was a translation.
Have you ever had some of the kids later on, after they've gone through this, to come back and say, I had a dear friend or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and I used this, and maybe they helped them with what
A lot.
as a young person.
A
You
lot.
had.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at school number 11 in Jersey City, and I just finally found a parking space, and a block and a half, I don't know if I repeated this before, this woman was running with her baby stroller. And I says, and then she says, she's waving at me. I look behind me. Oh no, it's for me. What'd I do this time? She comes running up to me panting, short little lady. She's so cute. And, young mother, she had a baby in her stroller. Says, "Oh, are you Miss Linda? Are you Miss Linda?" I go, "Yeah, Miss Linda." She says, "I had you when I was in the 8th grade and I loved you and I decided to wait and I married a dentist and we're so happy and my child is 3 years old. Will you be around and teach my child too?" I says, "Well, try." But I had a lot of, I even had a teacher. Well, that was another thing, but I've had a lot of teachers change their ways. I had in the Soviet Union, I had this woman, she was a guidance counselor. She says, "Miss Linda, this is the book I would show kids on sex education," because in the Soviet Union, you had nothing. Okay. This was like almost a porn book, but they drew the pictures of people. She says, "I would show them all the sexual positions." She says, "You see what I'm going to do with this book now that I've seen your class?" She threw it in the garbage. "I'm going to teach kids about abstinence." And I had a translator and my slides were all in Russian. But even her, and you could see she kind of dressed provocatively, to say the least. So I could understand in Soviet Union, that's the way you survive, basically. But she really changed her behavior and her outlook, and she was influencing young people. I've had gay kids come up and hug me, and they just feel so comforted, and they feel so a part of things. It's some kids have been indoctrinated with what I call liberal language, so they have kind of a little, they feed into what they think I'm saying, that because I'm talking about saving sex, that I'm anti-gay. I'm not anti-gay at all, but I'm into healthy choices. Now is not the time. Just like, when I was 5 years old, I wanted to drive. I have 2 hands, two feet. I can sit up on something. See, why didn't my parents give me the keys? I felt I could drive because I didn't have the mental capacity to deal with it. I didn't have the coordination. Well, that's where you're at now too. You feel you're grown up, but you're not really ready to handle all these things. I really thought if I love somebody, they're going to love me and then we're going to be happy. So we really need to be wise. We need to have wisdom, learn to control our feelings, so we're all in this together. But yeah, I've had quite a few I've run into. Some became teachers. That was really great too. So the higher risk the area, the more comfortable I feel in, because you can be very honest. When I've done Christian schools, they're just the same as anybody else. It's just that they hide it better. That's the only difference. So it's people just need fact-based information by which to base their decisions, because teenagers and children make their choices based on their feelings. If this is what I feel I want to do, that's my reality. They're not capable of thinking in the future. Even those who are thinking in the future, it's limited. Like, I'm going to go to this college, I want that career. They don't understand. It's not until they're 25 that their brain. And when I was in college, the 25-year-olds would say, "What the heck was I thinking?" Because now they realized what they had done was dumb. And then a lot of this becomes ingrained when they start at such a young age, drinking, drugs. It's so hard to stop. That's why it's just, wait, like even my daughters, I said, "Look, just to 18, follow my rules, do what I say. At 18, you feel like, Mom, you're full of it. I love you, but I'm going to do my thing." I said, "Baby girl, I will always love you, but you can't live here anymore." That's all. And so my girls lived with me till they're like 25 years old. But yeah.
It's kind of frustrating to me because there's things like I have my 6-year-old grandson here this week. I don't get to see him, but have him for a week once a year, and he likes to watch the cartoons and things like that. He's only 6, but I've noticed that even in all these cartoons and kids shows, the sexual stuff that they're pushing, it floors me. I'm just like, wow,
It's shocking.
kids. Yeah.
When you and we're not fuddy-duddies, all of us here are very cool. We understand these things. You know, we're real people too, but there's certain things we avoid because we know this is going to lead to nothing good, you know. But that's why all the media, the commercials, look how Juul, you know, the vaping cigarettes, bubble gum flavor, grape. What adult does that? Nobody. And why did they? Because they wanted the 16-year-old market. Now it's addictive. It's messed up their lungs. It's harmed them. Now they're kind of reeling it in. They don't care about people. I saw teenagers were always doing Juul, and they'd even put pot in it. Now they've legalized marijuana. Oh my gosh. I mean, as a disclaimer, yes, I did pot when I was younger. You know, I stopped when I was 25, you know, and I saw nothing wrong with it. I was a functioning addict. I was at work. I was a waitress. I would get there 2 hours before I was supposed to so I could pick up tables, you know, and I was a good person and everything, but I did not know how wonderful life could be until I stopped all that silliness.
Well, and
Stopped cold turkey.
bad thing too now, I mean, they're putting fentanyl, they're putting all kinds of mess in pot. They don't know what they're getting.
No, it's fentanyl is more addictive than morphine.
It is.
And in fact, the detectives who are on those kind of agencies, they said, you can't even call pot marijuana anymore. You should just call it fentanyl. And fentanyl is in all the illegal drugs now from China. You think China cares about us? No, we're just customers to them. And pretty soon they hope that we're their prisoners, you know? So, I mean, it's obvious, you know, I'm not making stuff up. It's just obvious. Look, everything's made in China, trying to buy stuff that's made here. And I like to save money, but geez, you know, then they hit you in the long run, you know. So yeah, those concerns are very real. See, we have wisdom. We're not old fashioned. We have wisdom, you know, and I'm sure all of us have had heartbreaks and some bad relationships, but it doesn't mean that we can't have hope. And a lot of times, not always, but a lot of the young people I see with bad relationships, it's because they're messing around so much, they lost their ability to control themselves. Everything's about feeling good now, you know, so they don't invest in actually getting to know somebody. They look more for good looks and how somebody makes them feel. They're not thinking about what kind of person is this going to be in the good times and the bad times, you know. So yeah, and that's with age. Used to be the seniors, that's where they went for good advice, you know. So yeah, it's tough. We've got to wean them from the cartoons because that becomes their reality. And it's an addiction too. You got the fast moving and colors and this and that. And then they go to sit down in school. Oh man, this is so boring. I want to go home, you know. And then they're in college and they throw away your money and drop out. It's, yeah, teaching them self-control, teaching them values, doing things with their hands. It has to be done at a young age. That's when we have to capture them. Yeah, to help them so that they know we're really here for them. We're not here to judge them and make them feel bad or rob them of their fun. You know, there has to be a lot of fun being good. Yeah. So it's a big job, but somebody's got to do it. And that's why I love the program. Even if you don't know so much, it doesn't matter because everything is there in the program. I used to do so much background research. Even though I trusted Dr. Panzer, I did so much back because I didn't want to be caught because I was speaking in front of a lot of professionals, you know, even in hospitals. I didn't know what I was doing. Everything that's in his program is very valid. And he takes the middle of the road. He doesn't take the left. He doesn't take the right. Most peer-reviewed articles, you can take it to the bank. I had one teacher who disagreed, but he would disagree about anything, you know, unless it was free sex. All my other teachers, everything else we probably don't agree on, but they really 1,000% support this. They demand the program. They would have races to book me in May for next October. And I'm just, you know, regular old bumpkin. I didn't have any professional training or anything. I learned from the kids. You know, it's just a process. For 3 years, I read my script. I had a podium and I would have the script right there. Who does that? Because I can't remember things. You know, but it's amazing. And then Dr. Pans is always updating things. And look at the colors. Don't you think the slides are interesting compared to, overheads and things like this? And then you're kind of the show, or you don't have to be the show. Just smile, be nice. I'll walk up down the aisle, make a personal relationship. And sometimes I'll even say, "What's your name?" I says, "If I know your name, it may not be a good thing," because usually talking in class or something. So it's yeah, I tell you, it's the most rewarding work. It's the most rewarding work. You're actually helping our future and helping young people make healthier choices. Even adults don't know this. That's what's kind of heartbreaking. So the kids think they can go to an adult for advice, and they say, "No, you're more messed up than I am." So it's yeah, it's fascinating work. Look at how long I'm doing this. Do I look like I'm tired of my job? I love my job. I really, I feel value from it. I'm giving value to my job. So it's I would have to drive an hour and a half to work sometimes because the traffic was so bad. I race out the door. I'm looking forward to it. Who could want anything more where you're looking forward to it? And that's why do where you're comfortable. Do youth groups in churches, practice, 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 and then you go to schools. You find ways to get into schools, or, a lot of times guidance counselors bring in speakers, even if it's a one-shot deal in an auditorium, just in the beginning, like we have an anti-bullying program. How great is that, And I can help you with that too, because sometimes I do something with the slides. I have a school that's having me do online right now, which this one I like because you can see each other, and then I have the screen to the side. With her, the whole screen is just my PowerPoint. But so she says, "I want you to do anti-bullying and drugs." I go, "Okay." So I just glean the program, do that. And then I have to do healthy relationships and dating. She's Egyptian, so she was really happy when I told her we don't encourage dating. And she says, "Oh, good, you have to come." So I'm doing 6th through 8th graders. They're all sitting in. So it's, and then we found out this boy, because now they legalized pot in New Jersey. He says, "What about secondhand pot smoke?" And we talked a little bit. Turned out the boy has asthma, and the people downstairs smoke pot all day and all night, and he can barely breathe sometimes. The school didn't know. The nurse was in on my program, and the guidance counselor. I says, "You need to talk to your guidance and your nurse." So then the nurse popped in, and she says, "Yes, we'll be on this." And like the minute my program was over, they were counseling with him and getting him help, because you have to be careful. If they're dealers, you don't want to be attacked by these people. But they didn't even know he had asthma. So those kind of things happen all the time, So always you have to stay in your lane. You're not there to do personal guidance with people. You answer things in a public room. I steer people to my website. I don't give them my email address. If they want me to come back to their school and speak with them with the guidance permission, yeah, I'll do that. I have no problem, but I'm not going to speak one-on-one someplace else. There's a lot of people have problems. And to me, this is school property. The children are school property. But I tell you, it's something I never thought. I was an introvert my entire life. And this helped me so much, because it helped me with my personal life too. When I got faced with that fork in the road, I really would like to do this right now, but this would be the consequences, It helps steer us, Then we're an example of how can we speak with conviction? Because we face the same things you do, So, yeah, so it's cool. Hey, who's that your buddy back there, Vicki?
My better half.
You better have, well, you know what? He says the same thing about you.
Probably.
Probably. So any other questions? I don't want to keep you guys past your bedtime or anything. Hey, Emerald. Hey, girl. How you doing? I'm doing fine, Linda.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I was listening, but I was working, so I had to come in and unmute.
That's okay. Nice. When are you going to go and join your other half there?
I leave, my flight is July 4th.
Oh, girl, you gotta say something to me or something. I don't know. Somehow I have to see you. That time is coming up. So nice to see you, dear.
My hair's
So,
a mess.
oh, you look good. Everybody wears their hair that way nowadays. So this is a lovely experience. I do look forward to it. At first, I was really scared, but I really look forward to this, and I hope it's meaningful for you. And don't hesitate to ask questions, or email me if it's something personal, or you just don't want to take up class time. Something pops into your head. I'm really dedicated to you. So can we have a show of hands? We missed one day because I had no power. Would you rather do a double one day, or would you rather add another day at the end for those who stick it out to 16 lessons? I think we have an 8-lesson course, and then we have the 16 for people who want to see if they want to get into doing it. How many of you would like to do a double to make up the past one? How many of you would like to add one more day? You have to pick one or the other. Okay, add one more day. Okay, so I'll pick that day. Okay, so we'll just add one more on there, which is originally August 26th was going to be the last one. So our last one will be September 2nd. Sounds like a holiday, but yeah, hopefully nothing else happens. So I hope this all worked out for you. Mr. Khan, are you there? Did you want to say anything? Nope, I guess not. So Bergie, shall we close out?
Yeah.
Do you want me just to say a quick prayer?
That'd be good.
Our loving Heavenly Father, Father, we thank you so much for bringing us together today. Each of us is so busy and so many things going on in this world that really are not your plan. But Heavenly Father, we really want to be your real representatives and give your true love unconditionally to this earth. Heavenly Father, you've done so much for us, and we can never thank you enough that you never gave up on us. You never abandoned us. You never gave up hope. You are really a true Father to all of us. We love you, and we really want to make you happy, and we want to give value and really help your children who've been suffering all over this world. Somebody has to do it, Heavenly Father. Somebody has to do it. And why not us? Why not us? Father, we thank you. Please give us clarity of heart and mind, that we don't listen to the voices of doubt. We tell them to shut up and get behind us, and that we can really be the peacemakers, the true love givers. We thank you for every opportunity to show your love to others, and most of all, to show our love and appreciation to you. We thank you and pray all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Have a super week. Always nice to see everybody.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
And,
Yeah,
it
you
was
take
awesome.
care.
Thank you very much, Linda. Another
Bye.
great job.